I say that because history was always my worst subject in school. So like any one of my history teachers would be like, oh really? Just as important as drinking water. I think it's mostly because I have like a really short attention span. Like I can't like read for too long, and history is kind of like depending on you doing that, you know what I mean? Like this one time I was reading this book, it was called The N-Word, Who Should Say It, Who Shouldn't, and Why, right? And I was reading it, and I was trying to get the answers, like who should say it, who shouldn't, why, how come, right? And I found this quote by this former slave, right? And I was like, that's so interesting, because I've never heard of this man. So I put the book down, and I Googled the former fugitive slave, right? His name was Henry Watson, and I found his entire narrative, and I started reading it, and I didn't finish reading it because I found a quote that I liked, and I wrote the quote down. It was really interesting to me because like what he said was, and this is a quote, that there were men who do nothing else but hunt fugitive slaves with hounds that are so well trained that they do as they advertise, take slaves without scarring them enough to injure their value. But like, did you hear that last bit? Enough to injure their value. That part got to me. Because they must have had some damn good dog trainers for their time. They could train a dog not to rip off nimble cotton-picking fingers. And they could train a dog to know how much force is enough. And they could train a dog not to kill a man just because the future of a country is packed on his shoulders. It's funny. They could train a hound not to suck the value from a slave. Yet we can't stop a man in uniform from pressing his knee into throats, punching the beauty out of faces, firing bullets into craniums in front of small children, and destroying any speck of value that could be left in the bodies of the young, emancipated, citizenship-wielding, equal, and desegregated Black lives that matter, just as much as the white or the blue. I guess we've stopped training our hounds. Or maybe we just need to retrain their snouts. They might be following the wrong scent. Don't know what they're looking for. Don't know they ain't still catching runaways. Don't know yet that we've discovered value outside of the nimble, cotton-picking fingers. I think we should retrain our hounds, but ain't it hard to teach an old dog new tricks? I mean, after all, the one that got Philando Castile was 29, and that's a hell of a lot in dog years.